Over the weekend, the Pentagon conducted the 21st known strike on a drug trafficking boat. This continuing on here, the war on drugs looking more like an actual war these days than any time in a long time. Senator Markwayne Mullin joins us right now, and appreciate you joining, Senator. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
So these strikes, there's a lot of questions that people are asking about them. Some just want to know more. Some obviously very much are opposing them in the media, including some Republicans, some Senate colleagues of yours, at least one I can think of. Let's talk about whether they're working. What are they? What can we say about how effective these strikes are at this point? Do we not know? Is there a drop in fentanyl importation via these boats? Because I think that's a big part of whether or not we can say that this is a program that the American people are going to continue with.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to see the big picture, and so I'll get to that in just a second, but let's talk about what your questions were. Have we seen a drop in fentanyl? Have we seen a drop in cocaine trafficking? Absolutely. And the biggest measuring stick to that is the price on the street. I know it sounds crazy, but, everything is supply and demand. We've seen a significant increase in the price of fentanyl and the price of cocaine because their shipping lanes are being cut off. The president is being very proactive on his approach rather than waiting until it gets to our shores. He has taken an approach that we're going to destroy it in international water, which has put everybody on notice because it's not just coming out of Venezuela. We saw us taking out a narco boat in the Pacific too. And so what the president is doing here, because he realizes that we've lost more Americans in 2024. We haven't got the statistics yet for 2025, but in 2024, we lost more Americans to fentanyl and other drug overdoses inside the United States than we did the entire Vietnam War. That's a staggering number because every single one of your listeners, including yourself and I, know somebody that has been affected by this drug war that has come to our hometowns, be it the small town like Westville, Oklahoma, or a large metropolitan area like Dallas-Fort Worth. It has affected all of our streets. It's affected all of our friends and family. It's affected some of us. So what the president has done is he's done a full court approach. It's not just about taking out the drug boats, the narco boats, but it's also about getting rid of their supply lines of once it gets into the United States, the distribution lines, plus the cash flowing back out to the cartels. So when the president deemed the cartels a terrorist organization, what allowed is the full weight of the United States to come in. And so you see DHS, Secretary Nome and ICE going into these major metropolitan areas. A lot of people think it's just about deporting illegal immigrants, but it's not. It's also disturbing their supply lines. We see a Department of Transportation with Secretary Duffy that's doing stops inside the United States. There's as we speak, there's an operation going on in Oklahoma right now where we're stopping trucks. We're doing drug searches, but we're also arresting illegals. There's supply lines with the illegals that are coming into the United States illegally. The gangs like MS-13 and other gangs that are being used to distribute and supply different areas inside the United States. DHS is taking a hard look, so we're pushing them from the end of their supply all the way back into Venezuela, back into Mexico, back where it's going. Plus, we're being proactive with the drugs coming into the United States. So it's the first time ever that we've had a full-pledged, all-out assault on the drug cartels, and we're having a huge, huge impact. So a lot of people need to look past just the narco boats, but also understand what we're doing inside our cities and on our interstates.
Senator, how troubled, Buck and I started off the show today talking about the revelations. I'm sure you've seen them from Tucker Carlson, Miranda Devine about the would-be Trump assassin in Butler, Pennsylvania. The fact that he appears to have been radicalized on YouTube, posting violent threats in the comments there. Again, this is based on their reporting. We have been told, hey, we'll never know really the motivations of this guy from our FBI based on the reports that I've seen. How troubled are you that these media investigations seem to show trans-related connections and incredibly violent commentary under the guy's own name on YouTube? Should we be concerned about this, and what should happen going forward as it pertains to that assassination investigation?
Well, I think there's no one more motivated to get to the root of the problem than President Trump. He's the one that got his ear shot, and he's the one that they've tried to assassinate 2 different times. And so he's extremely motivated to prevent it, honestly, from happening to him again, plus the Secret Service. And then you take Cash Patel, who loves the president, and Pam Bondi, who loves the president. We all do. We're all walking in the same direction, in the same boat, rowing the same direction. I kind of take a step back when you chase so many conspiracies, especially some of these news reporters, if they want to call them that, or commentary or talk show host, when they constantly are chasing conspiracy theories and they believe a conspiracy theory is the truth, because anybody can say something online and you can run an AI search and it doesn't do a deep dive for you. All it does is take the information that's on the internet and you can persuade any algorithm to come up with whatever you want it to come up with. And so I always take a step back. I believe in facts, and it's really hard for me to believe that someone like Tucker Carlson would have a better research department than the FBI. I read intel reports on this stuff, a lot of stuff that the public won't be able to see because they don't have the same type of clearances, which it will be very hard for a lot of this stuff to be released because it's not that we're trying to protect the shooter's identity, it's because we try to protect the trade craft on how we access this information. And a lot of times when we see how we gather that information, it releases the trade craft that these IC, the intelligence community, uses. But I have seen nothing, period, to support Tucker Carlson's theory on this one. I'm not saying it can't be realistic, but I just don't believe it until I actually see it. I don't have time to chase theories.
Speaking of Senator Markwayne Mullin, sir, you're on the Armed Services Committee. I want to just pivot back for a second to the drug boat strikes, 21 so far, over 80 people killed. Senator Rand Paul, your Republican colleague, is very against these. He has recently said things like...
Calling Rand as a Republican colleague is pretty loose-lipped. So, go ahead.
He is a Republican colleague. I mean, we can talk about how you feel about that, but he definitely is a Republican senator. So, what do you think about the concerns about legality when it comes to these strikes?
Well, I don't. I think the president's well within his authority to do so because it's very clear that these are terrorist organizations. They are attacking us. Attacking our streets. They're domestic terrorists plus foreign terrorists. The president is well within his rights to be able to protect United States citizens home and abroad, not our intellectual property and our person self. That's well within his constitutional authority to do so. And so for Rand Paul to quote that, what I always say is okay, give me in the Constitution where it's not in his authority to do that. And because people always say it's outside the Constitution. Okay, show me. The Constitution is very, very thin. It's not hard to read. You can read it in 20 minutes if you want to. Pull out the part that Rand Paul is talking about. But this is the same Rand Paul that doesn't vote with Republicans to open government. He just recently was trying to support his plan to enhance THC levels for consumption in drinks because he thought it was good for Kentucky's, not joking, good for Kentucky's industry, for hemp industry. This is the same Rand Paul that is constantly looking for an opportunity to run against the President of the United States. And so he's looking for an opportunity anytime he can to distance himself. I would be a lot better off if Rand Paul just called himself what he is. He's a libertarian. I'm perfectly okay with that. But he can't get elected as a libertarian in Kentucky, so he decides to run as a Republican. I have more respect for Thomas Massie than I do Rand Paul, and because at least Thomas Massie owns who he is. Rand Paul is just whoever he feels like to be that day.
We're talking to Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma. You were at a big football game over the weekend. This is much less serious than everything else. I know you were hanging out with Katie.
It's a very serious topic between Alabama and Oklahoma. Football is a very serious topic.
So you were at that game with your with Senator Katie Britt of Alabama. We just had, you probably don't know this because we just had him on, but Paul Feinbaum, who I know you know, SEC Network commentator, is thinking about running for Senate in Alabama. You were at the Alabama-Oklahoma game. Congrats to the Sooners. Huge win there. What do you think of Paul Feinbaum as a potential Senate colleague from Alabama? And for everybody out there listening, you got the opportunity to go after some Alabama fans over the big win and celebrate for all the Oklahomans out there listening.
Well, first of all, Alabama was very gracious. I have never been to an SEC game outside of Norman, Oklahoma. It was amazing. Hats off to Alabama, hats off to their fans, my hats off to Tuscaloosa because that whole town turns out for football. And it was an amazing environment. Glad we pulled off the win, but in the little part I was like, I'm kind of almost sad for this group because this whole town has to go into depression now because they got beat by the University of Oklahoma. But it was we had the first pick six. I was sitting in the president's box for the University of Alabama, and super nice guy. And I hollered because I got my OU, wrestling because my son wrestles for the University of Oklahoma, and I got my OU wrestling shirt on. And one of the guys walked up to me and he says, I was going to give you, I'm using clean language here, I was going to give you crap about hollering in the president's box, but I thought better of it when I saw your shirt said wrestling. So we just laughed about it, but that was the kind of group it was. Now, as far as anybody, this isn't particular for anybody, as far as anybody willing to put their name on any ballot and run for any office. I don't care if it's school board, city council, mayor, state rep, state senate, sheriff, county commissioner, or for a federal office. I commend you for doing that. And no one knows what type of person the candidate's going to be, but we need good people that have a passion for our country, not a passion for a title, to run for office. And my measuring stick is that this is your best job you've ever had, then I would question your ability to do what is best for your decision making. Because if it's the most money you've made and it's the biggest title you've had, then are you willing to fire yourself? Because we're all somewhat self-employed, but we have a whole bunch of shareholders across our state. And we're the chairman of the board to some degree, so our board can fire us at any given time. But it's pretty hard to be fired because you can get your votes right half the time. It's either yes or no. It's just how you articulate yourself and what type of tough votes are you willing to take. And so for anybody to stand up and run, great. Just have the right motives to do so. And anybody that decides to run, we're going to sit down, we're going to talk to them. And we may or may not get involved in the primary. It really depends. Usually I don't get involved in primaries unless it's somebody I know personally. But when they win a primary, we're all in to get them across the finish line, let them come and be part of the team.
Outstanding stuff, Senator Markwayne Mullin. Congrats to the Sooners. I'm glad that you had the wrestling shirt on so the president didn't come after you too hard at the University of Alabama. And Buck's been down there and can speak for the hospitality of the people of Tuscaloosa. First game Buck ever went to was Ole Miss Alabama college football.
It was amazing. I had all these fraternity brothers handing me red plastic cups and saying they love Outkick. It was quite a scene.
Hey, it was an amazing, Buck. It's an amazing environment. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I want to go back just to enjoy the environment just when they're not playing, a University of Oklahoma.
Outstanding stuff, Senator. We appreciate the time. Keep up the good work.
Thanks. See you guys. Bye.
Look, you just heard Senator Markwayne Mullin talk about how awesome the scene was in Tuscaloosa. You know what else is awesome? Prize Picks. You can play it in Alabama. You can play it in Texas. You can play it in California. You can play it in Georgia. 40-plus states. When you play $5, you get $50 back in your account. Whatever your favorite sport is, football, hockey, basketball, NASCAR, you're going to find your favorite athletes featured on Prize Picks, and all you have to do is pick more or less. 40-plus states, and They don't play with your money. All transactions fast, safe, and secure. And when you use my name, Clay, you get $50 right now. PrizePicks.com, code Clay. That is PrizePicks.com, code Clay. $50 deposited in your account when you play $5. Play along with us at PrizePicks.com, code Clay.